Hello, everybody, and welcome
Oh
to
wait.
Norm,
Oh,
the cheer. What's the matter? What
sorry.
did you do? We're live.
It's no, it's not live yet.
Oh,
It says live. It says we've been live for 10
Oh,
seconds.
Twitch is telling me I'm not live.
gas.
Don't trust Twitch.
I don't know what's up with Twitch. Maybe Twitch isn't
Twitch
like.
is filled with live. That felt like it might have been one of our best intros.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Here, let's catch. What is? Come on, Twitch. What is wrong?
I
Maybe
feel
Twitch
like we're
doesn't-
essentially telling our Facebook and YouTube watchers they don't matter right now.
Oh no.
well,
They have to wait for Twitch.
Should we unplug it and plug it in again? The whole Twitch app?
Nah.
Let's try this.
All right.
Here, just
Vamping. Technology, folks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast. It isn't quite a podcast about the greatest sitcom in the history of American television, Cheers, which has made a huge comeback this week. It's been a tough point in the marriage. It's been rocky. The honeymoon's been over. And baby, I brought Chinese food and flowers home with season 2, episode 4, Homicidal Ham. It's a huge step in the right direction. After 3 not so fabulous episodes, huge fan of this week. Andy is back in my life. Things are all right in the world. I watched it multiple times and never did it feel like an obligation. It was very nice. Let's do this. How was your week, everybody?
Cannot complain. Just another week here in paradise, Cranston, Rhode Island. One house, 3 people, large dog.
Perfect.
Perfect. Guys, I don't know if you know, it's matzah season.
Yeah, it is.
And I've got me a couple boxes at home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Happy
Good
Pesach.
times.
And to you too.
And to all those who observe out there.
Sorry, Mike.
Hey, did they
It's
show
not
10
for
Commandments
Gentiles.
this weekend? I did not see them talk about it. That used to be like the tradition as I was growing up. Was we didn't get that it was for Passover. We were told it was for Palm Sunday.
Right.
That was how it was broached in the Catholic household.
How unusual.
It's a weird movie. I can't keep myself from watching it whenever it's on, even though it is the most pro-Jewish yet somehow slightly anti-Semitic movie ever made. Where like Jewish hero, but also, by the way, what's with these Jews? Am I right?
Sounds
It's
about
a
Charlton
very
Heston.
weird movie.
For a group that claims to have total control of Hollywood, you'd think we could have done a better job.
I'm just saying, yeah, it'd be a little more positive.
No, it's pretty
But
on
yeah.
brand for Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
It was always on in my household this weekend, and I still kind of delight in it. I get the pageantry, I get the spectacle. I'm not supposed to, but I do enjoy Charlton Heston. I can't help it. I can't help it.
You're better than this.
I thought I was.
You're better
I
than
guess
this.
not. Like I just watch him doing this stuff, and I know it's not okay, but I kind of dig it.
You know, it's like that what 2 weeks ago when I had to yell at all my white friends on Facebook for the fact that they, I put it out there that white people love acoustic covers of rap songs, and you're all better than this. My friends are better than this.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I mean, you saw what I brought to the table.
I know you're better than this, Dave.
I mean, I can't learn until I confront what I was.
Yeah. Once you know better, do better.
Yes,
Mhm.
admitting is the first step.
Yep. All right. Speaking of getting a lot better when you know better, season 2, episode 4, I thought big step in the right direction. Dave, what was going on in the world when Cheers made this nice little comeback episode?
I kind of a tense moment in U.S. history right now. We're I think 2 days. This episode premiered on October 27th, 1983, and just a few days prior, on the make sure I get my dates right, the 23rd, there was the attack in Beirut that killed 243 American service people. And this was followed 2 days later on the 25th by the American invasion of Grenada. These two things are linked in a address to the nation that actually preempted Cheers this night for about half an hour on the East Coast. President Reagan took to the airwaves to decry the actions in Beirut and to talk about the military invasion in Grenada that he had authorized. We can talk about Ronald Reagan in some length, perhaps on another podcast. But anyway, he did push Cheers half an hour later on the East Coast, thanks to his desire to talk to the American people about what was going on and the moves that he was making. Meanwhile, this episode deals so much with theater. I thought I wanted to look at some of the plays that premiered in 1983. Was kind of a great year on Broadway. I was just looking at a couple of things that came out that year. Not limited to Noise is Off, premiered on Broadway. One of the great farces, and a play that Mike and I know well from our time in college. Brighton Beach Memoirs ran for about 1,000 years. Another evergreen comedy, Night Mother, premiered in March of '83. Did not run as long as Brighton Beach Memoirs. And also Not About Heroes, a play that Mike and I also know intimately because one of our professors was featured in it a number of times in and around productions in Boston. Wow. So kind of a cool year for theater. I think Sam Shepard had a big year. He had a couple plays out, including a revival of American Buffalo, but also a couple of new shows, a couple of off-Broadway pieces that ended up going to Broadway. A fairly productive year for the performing arts, and one that I can only imagine was somewhat inspiring to this episode, which keeps referring to not just classical theater, but the theater productions that Diane Chambers would have been in as an undergraduate at Bennington College in Vermont. So wanted to just touch base with the American theater, and the heartbeat of American theater is, of course, Broadway in New York City.
Nice. Noise is Off. We've talked about in the past, all the college shows that you did that you were totally age inappropriate for. Noise is Off was the rare college show that we did that I really loved doing and that I thought was a legitimately good production. People came and I didn't feel bad about it. That was a nice change. Tookie, did you have a show like that in college?
Oh. Aside from my turn as Chiffon in Little Shop of Horrors, who's as Trevor calls it, one of the Shoop Shoop girls.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great music. That is a show every guy wants to be the dentist.
Yes.
In Little Shop of Horrors. What a great, weird, creative, fun show. That was a blast to do, wasn't it?
Oh, it was such a good time.
And
but I think everybody's go-to at some point was Into the Woods, which I watched. I didn't participate in, for the record.
Oh, okay.
We couldn't even spell Sondheim there was a rift between the music and the theater departments, and if we attempted Sondheim, and it lasted for a long time. There was no chance that we were ever going to come close. We couldn't. I don't even think we were allowed to hum during straight plays.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, it was straight. We were like the Jets and the Sharks, but in a non-musical production of West Side Story.
All right.
It was contentious.
A gritty Todd Snyder West Side Story reboot.
Yeah, our theater department would mention doing a show, and the music department would be like, "Yeah, I think you need something simpler. What about this?" And then our theater department was offended. And then the music department was like, we're just trying to help you be your best. And that's how you go 4 years without doing a musical.
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, this is some tea.
Mm-hmm. Also, Night Mother, one of the worst productions I've ever attended live. One of my most shameful moments as an audience member. All right, let me tell this story really quickly and then we'll move on. So, no college should do Night Mother. It's totally wrong. If you don't know the play, it's a 2-person play for 2 women, a middle-aged woman and her mother. So already we had a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old playing these parts. And the middle-aged woman is telling her mother why she wants to kill herself.
Cool.
That's the show. It's about giving up on life.
Oh.
It's heavy. It's totally age inappropriate. And here's the thing about a movie or play that you know ends in death. When it's bad, you get an entire audience rooting for death. And that's a weird group to be a part of. And you're watching, and these were talented actors, by the way. If God forbid this gets back to them, they were really lovely people, talented actors in the totally wrong play for them to be doing. But it's a whole play of like, I'm going to kill myself. No, you can't kill yourself. I'm going to do it. No, you can't do it. And the audience going, let her do it. Just no, you can let her do it. She can do this. Let her do it. And finally, at the end of the play, she goes running into a room and she slams the door. And the woman playing the mug pounded at the door. No, my baby, don't do it. And then you hear a gunshot, just bang. And the audience goes quiet. And from somewhere in the audience, I heard a yes.
Oh, no.
And to this day,
no,
I'm not positive it wasn't me. I hope it wasn't. But I also got that yes.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So colleges, no Night Mother.
Marcia Norman just texted. She said that was shut down.
All right, but back to something more fun, which is Homicidal Ham. Tookie, can you tell us about this cold open that is surprisingly edgy?
Yeah, it's a spicy cold open. Before we go any further, though, I just want to state for the record that I just genuinely appreciate Dewey coming in excited to talk shit about Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Thank you, Dewey.
He's a hardline progressive.
Shout out to Dewey. Okay, so enter Carla into the bar. She walks in on the scene, and she's got a very large my pillow, perhaps for a fake pregnant belly, but it's a very obviously fake pregnant belly. And of course, Sam is like, "What are you doing?" And Carla explains that people, she's got rent due, and people tend to tip better when they see a pregnant woman. And Coach, for once, is actually kind of abreast of the situation. He's like aware, and he's not like spaced out in Coach land. And he's like, "Oh man," under his breath to Sam, "Oh, you got to tell her to get rid of it. It's disgraceful. Tell her to get rid of it." And Coach says, "I can't do that." Or Sam says, "I can't do that, Coach. She's Catholic," which, haha. But then, of course, Carla proceeds to collect either an order or cash from a patron. And on her way to do so, there's a guy who bumps into her. But it was kind of like a very gracefully staged bump, if you will. Stage Combat 101, which I think we'll touch on later in this episode. But when Carla emerges from said collision with this other patron, her pseudo belly is very visibly shifted off to the left, kind of like how Bobby Brown's lips are positioned on his face today. Bobby Brown's lips are on the side of his head, and I don't know how they got there. But anyway, no disrespect, but like all disrespect, don't do drugs, kids. But yeah, her fake belly is like all the way on her hip, basically. And as she's walking towards this woman who she's about to go serve, she aggressively shifts it back forward. And the lady's looking at her horrified, basically. And she goes, "Oh, yeah, the kid's going to be a swimmer." Cut to the theme music.
Yeah. So early on, this is my 80s moment of the week.
Mm.
when you could just have a lighthearted abortion joke in a mainstream sitcom with no one protesting it. It's just a little joke that didn't get any cheers or jeers. It was just out there, and that's what we're doing. And I feel like that was a very 80s thing. Like you could just have that there. For as much as people say like, oh, everyone's so sensitive now, like everyone's too woke. It's like, hey, you guys used to be able to take a joke too. Like Jerry Falwell didn't say anything about that cold open of Cheers in season 2.
Yeah, so, I do like how they play it, which is like, we're not going to hang with this necessarily. We're just going to kind of like, we're going to sneak it in and we're just going to keep on walking.
I never really, I didn't even put that into context because I'm so used to those kinds of jokes being too dicey. Even in this day and age, when more people are actually pro-choice, I, for one, am pro mind my damn business. If it's my kid, I don't give a shit. I'm not paying for it, right? So, that's sort of like, it's always been weird to me that there's people who need to know what's in other people's uteruses. But yeah, it didn't occur to me that, wow, oh yeah, that's like a straight up abortion joke. Because we're so used to people being in their feelings about it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. In the 80s, that was you could throw that joke in there.
Yeah.
And then you moved on.
In the early 80s, at least, before it became politicized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was there.
Yeah.
It was there. Well, it was always politicized, but people also used to be able to make a joke about that. Yeah. Yeah.
It's also so again, like it's so carefully. Like it feels off the cuff, but it's so carefully constructed so as to not play to either side, really.
Yeah.
It really is a pretty like intelligently crafted joke that's kind of designed to, as Michael Jordan might say, sell sneakers to Republicans too.
Yeah.
It is a well-crafted joke.
Yeah.
All right. So this week brings back the return of Andy. It is great, played by the great Derek McGrath, who's an actor you see in a ton of places. And if you're looking, he is a occasional guest star on Kim's Convenience, which is a fabulous show on Netflix. He plays Frank the Handyman and is very, very funny. So it's great to have him back from season 1. He pops into the bar after Sam and Diane have a little banter about carving initials into the bar, which Diane did and Sam does not find charming. And I don't know. Diane manages to make that charming. And Sam says the word buns in a way that may be uncomfortable.
Since we're jumping into 80s moments, I'm going to grab that right now and say that the word buns is my 80s moment.
Yeah.
That buns are never referred to after 1989, except in the context of things that happened during the 80s. So buns is my 80s moment.
Okay, but wait, because my aunt definitely had the Of Steel series on VHS.
Thank you. When did that come out? Can we check the year on that? Can we check the year on that? When did that come out?
Buns of Steel? I don't know.
That was the first thing I thought of. Was that felt 90s?
It dropped off mid 90s. I feel like buns weren't a thing by 1997.
Yeah. But buns was a very 80s thing. I will give that. Yeah. Buns, very 80s.
Buns of Steel came out in 1987. Thank you, Internet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So definitely of the 80s.
All right.
There you go. Good call.
But when did it come out on DVD? Because I'm pretty sure once they got a DVD player.
Jaws came out on DVD too. That doesn't make Jaws 90s. Just, when the White Album comes out on Spotify, it doesn't make it 21st century.
Okay, fair.
I'm glad we've covered Jaws and buns.
All right. So Andy comes into the room, scares Diane. Diane says, you got to get rid of him. Sam says, no, come on. I'm just going to serve him a drink. Andy then proceeds to hold up the bar. Some fabulous Sato work between Cliff and Norm. Very strong, I thought, week for the supporting cast, by the way. I thought Carla had a bunch of great lines. Norm and Cliff were hysterical in very underplayed stuff. Coach is always perfect. Really, really strong supporting cast stuff this week. Andy puts the gun down, basically saying he wants to get caught. Diane takes an interest in him, finds out that he really wants to be an actor, tells Sam to tell the police not to come anymore, which, by the way, you can't do. Once the police have been told to come, they're coming. So I think maybe that's also potentially an 80s moment where we thought that might still be how the police worked. But yeah, you can't do that. But anyway, the cops were called off, and then she decides that she is going to help him become an actor. They're going to go and they're going to do a scene together, and she's going to bring in her professor, Professor DeWitt, who has connected to every theater on the Cape, which is apparently a big deal.
Fish.
If I can say, as someone who has worked on the Cape, that is not the humble brag you think it is. Cheers.
Big fish. It was big fish in the 80s, Mike.
Like, are they referencing like are they talking possibly about like Provincetown Players at that point? Like, is that part? Would that be?
No.
I mean, I don't even know if they were still kind of.
Provincetown Players were the 20s. They didn't exist anymore in the 80s.
Yeah,
I mean, there is a great tradition of Cape Cod theater. So I say that, basically saying there is a lot of great theater happening on the Cape. I don't know that is something that you would drop to impress somebody and say he might be able to get you to Cape Cod.
I mean,
for all the love that I have for all the Cape theaters I've worked at, no one's jealous. Anyway, so they rehearse. They are getting ready to do a scene in the bar, which is not a thing that actually happens, but in Cheers, you can do it. Everyone is incredibly attentive in the bar, which, as someone who has done a lot of bar shows, I've never gotten an audience that attentive for anything I've ever done.
Oh, well, I got a bar show story for you.
All right, we've got MIT and bar show story just teed up. I cannot wait. So there's a very weird scene where they're watching a boxing match that is apparently very exciting, which is also a contender for a big 80s moment. Mm-hmm. And they have the conveyor belt of beers, which is just sort of a nice little visual gag that I enjoy quite a bit. And then Diane turns off the TV, but they're not even ready to do the scene, which, Diane, party foul. Come on. This is just so Annie can get ready in the back room where you can hear nothing from the front room. That seems a bit inappropriate, but anyway.
It seems like really terrible scheduling to book the talent show on the same night as the middleweight championship.
That's all I'm saying. And then, so they're getting ready. Andy tells Diane that he loves her. She says, I love you too. Totally misunderstanding it. He goes off to get dressed. Sam comes in. Andy sees Sam and Diane kissing and becomes incredibly jealous. They're doing Othello, which we need to speak about. Because here's the thing, and this is, I mentioned last week, so this was the thing that made me totally think I was going to do Othello when I grew up and became a professional actor. Because at no point is it mentioned that Andy should not be Othello. Like, the theater professor comes in, and they say, oh, we're going to be doing Othello. And he says, oh, challenging. Not like, oh, that's a wrong choice. Yeah, it's never referenced that he should not be playing Othello. There's no joke about it. There's no aside to it. There's no reference point to you shouldn't be playing Othello. It's just, yes, I'm playing Othello.
Well, at that point, would you say the Laurence Olivier remix?
What is that?
Would you say that the Laurence Olivier version, was kind of erased from general public consciousness at that point, and any sort of white person playing Othello would just be the remix of what Amour is?
It's an interesting point. I don't know. I'm not sure. If at that point, you kind of know it's not okay, and they're not doing that anymore. All right, so there's a really weird moment they did a remake of The Jazz Singer in, I believe, the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, Neil Diamond.
Oh, the Neil Diamond. Oh, my goodness.
Speaking of Olivier, who plays the dad in that.
What?
And in the it's bizarre.
Get ready, rehash.
Yeah.
What?
That might be a Friday night movie for you, Tookie.
Oh.
They reference blackface. They put Neil Diamond in blackface briefly.
No.
But to show how inappropriate it is.
All right. No.
It's really weird.
No.
It's so weird.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And we all come back to Olivier. So anyway, they're doing Othello. And Diane, in one of my favorite moments of the week, which is her whole introduction of the scene, as she slowly realizes that she is in trouble and is seeing how Andy feels about this. And you just see the little journey she's on, and it's hysterical. It's really beautifully done. And then they do the scene, and Andy does become homicidal and does really try to strangle Diane. And then they have to put an end to it. And then Sam has a final creepy line. Are you okay? No, I meant for tonight. Real, yeah. It was a great episode with a terrible last line. So that is the week. That being said, look, there's problems with it. There's problems every week. I really, really liked this episode. I thought Derek McGrath was outstanding. Really fun, really funny. I liked what everybody was doing this week. I thought it was a well-told story. I really laughed out loud multiple times. What were your thoughts?
I agree with you about Derek McGrath. This is one of the rare episodes where a non-regular character is given a lot of heavy lifting to do, and not to just sort of play a character, which he kind of did in season 1, but to actually kind of like push the plot forward and provide the emotional stakes. And he's great. He's really, really terrific. To the point where I find myself empathizing with his, feelings for Diane, while at the same time knowing that this is terribly inappropriate and dangerous. But there's that actor is so compelling that you kind of, I found myself, I couldn't help but sort of care about him, even as he was behaving abominably. Which maybe is kind of like a recurring theme for these first 2 seasons of Cheers. So in that sense, like he kind of like fits the aesthetic where there's this room full of people that sometimes often are terrible to each other, but I kind of can't help but find affection for them. And it's weird for someone to be able to walk off the street and do that in the show. And it happens in this episode.
Yeah. I didn't love this episode. I'll be upfront about it. I didn't love it. As someone who did theater, a former thespian, there was so much of it that resonated with me and that I got. But I didn't laugh out loud at most of this episode. And of course, there was always the thing that just, I'm like, this is supposed to be fun, but I couldn't get over the fact that I'm like, Diane's about to get murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, what, because I think we touched on it a little bit beforehand, but like in stage combat 101, choking is like this. And he was like this. So I was like, oh, like great acting, obviously. Yeah. But like, that's a testament to what a good actor he is. Cause I'm like, wow, she's about to get got.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is true crime. So that's the part that like scared me a little. Knowing that Diane isn't in danger is fine. But it's like, but it was still kind of like, oh God, like I think too, like as a woman, I have been there. I think because this episode was definitely written by a guy, but a
Lloyd episode, right?
Yeah, but a guy who obviously gets theater and has appreciation for it. But I've been there as a woman in terms of like having what's that, like fraternal feelings? Like somebody, like looking at as someone as a friend who you love, but as a friend, them and the danger, if you will. Oh gosh, I'm being such a downer this episode, but the danger of male rejection and how scary that can be for someone. Yeah.
And how working in theater can amplify that too, because you are being part of the job is to be vulnerable to occasionally play intimacy, and it's so easy to not misconstrue, but for it's so easy to be unprotected. And if you're like me, like I have a layer of protection because I'm a white cisgender male, which makes my life so much easier. But I've heard so many horror stories from friends of mine in the business who have had to deal with versions of this, which is awful.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess it was just kind of watching real time male rejection play out.
Mhm.
Like that's a part that was like for me. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
And
because
in theater where you're so often having to trust other people with your safety.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, none of the theater classes I took in college did trust falls. Fuck all y'all. But like, I love them all dearly. But like, fuck all y'all. I'm not trusting fall. I'm not trust falling with any of my theater people.
No. And the other thing too is like almost no theater department does as much stage combat as they should.
No,
They always wind up having to do really like risky stage combat, and someone's always too committed, and they're always just like, yeah, just hit me, it's okay. And you're like, what are we doing here? Come on.
Well,
Yeah.
fun bit of stage combat trivia is I don't know how familiar either of you are with Demolition Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
More than I should be.
No judgment. No
Thank
judgment. No judgment. But you know, casual moviegoers complain about the fact that Wesley Snipes' combat scenes felt too telegraphed and too weird and choppy. But it turns out that his moves like and his natural fighting style was so quick and too deft and speedy for the other stunt actors to keep up with. So he had no choice but to slow down his moves so that they could see where he was coming. Like they could see where he was coming. Yeah.
That is going, I have to look into this because that is going against a
Mhm.
lot of what is out there about Wesley Snipes, which is he looks like such a great athlete in so many great sports movies and is actually a secretly slow, terrible athlete.
No, he's actually, he's actually that good. It's just that the other stunt actors couldn't keep up, so he had to slow down his punches and kicks.
Okay, he is a really slow runner though.
Slow runner.
He's terrible at basketball. Yeah. So if you ever watch, so Major League, White Man Can't Jump, two of my favorite all-time sports movies in my top 10. If you ever listen to the podcast, The Rewatchables, they did one about Major League. And I never noticed until they did that all of his running scenes are in slow motion. And if you ever catch a few minutes where he's not running in slow motion, you see how slow he is. And they have to do that to make him look fast. And once you know that, you can't unsee it. You can never unsee it. And when you watch the basketball moves from White Man Can't Jump, you realize how they had to cut it. And Ron Shelton later on talked about it. He said, yeah, we needed some editing to make Wesley look like a good basketball player.
I believe that. I believe that. But in terms of martial arts, I believe.
But in terms of martial arts, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, though, that he would have quick moves with his hands. There you go. Wow, we are learning so much about Wesley this week.
This explains
weird career he had.
This explains why so much of Blade is just Wesley Snipes striding purposefully.
Yeah. Yes.
Somehow I've never seen Blade.
Oh,
Mike.
None of them. I don't know how it happened. It's one of those weird gaps in your pop culture knowledge. Somehow I just didn't see Blade.
Mike, that is the original Marvel movie. What are you doing?
When did Blade come out? Can we check that, Dave, really quick?
Yeah.
What year?
Blade came out in
Late 90s?
1998.
I was trapped on tour. That was a year that I couldn't see all the movies I wanted to. That was when I was in the middle of North Dakota and Saskatoon and couldn't get to the movies. And so I didn't see one, and then it just kind of kept going that I couldn't.
Well.
All right. So I need to see Blade. I need to see Blade.
We're changing this whatever this is. It's now a Blade cast.
I'm here for it. I am very here for it.
So all of that is very, very fair. The critique of it. I still enjoyed it. I think knowing on some level, I know Diane is safe. I know where this is going. And so I still enjoyed it. And there were multiple moments that made me laugh out loud. I was surprised. I didn't notice this is one of the smokier episodes of Cheers. I don't know if you caught that in the background. Quite a few people are smoking.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So that kind of surprised me. A little bit of foreshadowing. The unloaded gun that Sam takes out, kind of foreshadowing season 4, episode 1, where he knows how to look and notice that Fraser's gun is not loaded. And I realized it's because he saw Andy pointing the unloaded gun at him, and he knows what an unloaded gun looks like from the front.
Oh,
So there you go.
gross.
Everyone bounced back from the robbery very quickly in the bar this week. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
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 It was over, and some everyone was like, all right, well, back to smoking.
When did smoking become outlawed in bar? You know, and it's always been backwards to me that Massachusetts even allowed smoking in bars in the first place, because it's such a pure, like the Puritans have such a strong grip on our culture, even 400 years after they landed here, because we still don't have happy hour in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Unless it's on food.
But they viewed alcohol and tobacco very differently. I mean, for forever, like smoking was just what everybody did. So yeah, like, you know, people always kind of look down a bit upon the spirits. But, you know, like priests smoked.
Priests?
And if a priest did it, that means it's okay.
Priests.
Right?
Priests. Call the Vatican real quick. I have questions.
I laughed out loud at Diane's line. We are going to help him, and by by we, I'm mostly me. I found that very funny.
It was. I was going to say there's a lot of like kind of wonderful little Diane moments. Yeah, the jokes in this episode weren't always crushers, but there's a lot of like wonderful kind of Diane Chambers, this is who Diane is kind of moments. That's one of them. Another, I love in the pool room after she feels like she's dealt with the Andy situation where she's kind of explained her feelings for him. And he, you know, kind of he flies into a rage, not into a rage, but he's kind of channeling into that intense Shakespearean dialogue, and she is blown away by his talent. And you can kind of see in her face that like there's a moment of like, I did it, which is it's so perfect for that character. It's like, yeah, I have succeeded. I've made a friend. Like I am winning on all levels right now. And you know, and there's like one kind of layer that she's just not kind of able to see, which is right in front of her, which is, I think, something that they've really, that's true about Diane, and they've played that over and over and over again. And it was nice to see it kind of played even off text during this episode.
It was nice. It was nice. I loved the Converse All-Stars with the Othello garb. Just perfect.
Oh my God. Whoever costumed Andy just killed it this episode. Like that t-shirt with the stain on it before he got dressed was so good. And then that Othello robe made him like look bigger and scarier. And the shoes were, just perfect. Just perfect costuming for Andy.
Very well done. All right. That's the only shit line. Help, the psycho's trying to kill me. That's the only line of Shakespeare I ever understood.
That's
fabulous moment. All right, but all that is leading to my joke of the week. Before we get to another category, though, Tookie, 80s moment of the week?
My 80s moment of the week is the theater professor guy, actually. Because he just feels like such a time capsule of the stereotypical theater professor of that era. How he strutted in with that scarf around the pea coat and the spectacles and such. Like it just felt like this is a lot of, you know, thespian energy of the 80s. Yeah.
That's the guy who's going to get you playing Chekhov in Orleans in September. Like that's the guy.
Yeah. They're casting Night Mother in Sandwich.
Yes. that's that, but like I don't even know if it's maybe of the 80s, but it just feels like it fits. It feels like I was watching a timestamp of, was it October whatever 1983. Like it just the moment of it just felt
that guy's the poster child for October 83.
Yes.
Well put. All right, joke of the week. My joke of the week is, it's one word. It is after they subdue Andy Norm and Cliff have been talking about, should we do something? And then once he's in a full Nelson and Carla has taken him down, they go, now! And start running over and they go, oh, all right. Well, what can we do? I laughed out loud. It's so tickled both times I saw it. I thought it was just perfect. It's who they are. They did it perfectly. It was great.
Did you feel like this episode was a little fat shamey? Either of you?
Yes.
Okay.
I have that. Yeah.
Okay.
The sweating, him sitting on Andy at the end.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It was there.
It was that was humor of the time.
Yeah, it was.
I get it. I get it.
Yep. And it's subtly there throughout Cheers, although for having a regular cast member that is there and, you know, overweight for the entire run, I have to say there's a surprisingly limited number of jokes made about Norm's weight.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up once in a while. This is an episode where it pops in, but it's not something where most of the time, especially in the 70s, 80s sitcoms, if there's an overweight character, there's going to be one incredibly cruel joke at least every week, which didn't happen in this episode, in this series. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the maybe fat shaming isn't quite the word, but it's definitely not a secret about his weight, and there are allusions to the fact that a person of his size experiences certain things or does certain things physically, like with Fresh Prince, where there was always some sort of jab at Uncle Phil. It's like, it's like here, oh, we see him sweating profusely, or here his act of heroism is sitting on another person, and it's like, oh, okay, it's not outright, but I see you cheering.
It is. No, you're right. It is. It's these subtle little jabs. Yeah, no, you are correct. You are correct. I'm with you. Okay, it was there. Do you have a joke of the week?
A line of the week, because for me, again, this week felt like more vibes. I did like the episode, but it's not. But I didn't at moments, because again, I'm looking at it from like a completely different standpoint. So it's Diane's line of dialogue: "One murder does not a murderer make." Very Diane.
And she did an unusual take that Diane does not usually have.
Yeah.
That was a weird take, wasn't it?
Right?
Yeah, just a little bit of odd mugging.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, oh, that's like usually those moments are like kind of play so subtly, and that was like that was like all of a sudden like a fly landed on her eye or something. Like, it was.
Yeah. It was. I was like, wow, I was never prepared for this very Diane take on murder, but okay, here we are.
Yep. Dave, what was your joke of the week?
I'll give one to Coach. With where Diane was talking about her theater professor being able to spot an actor a mile away, and Coach said that could come in handy at a drive-in.
A fun Coach dad joke.
Yeah, just kind of a wonderful, and like that for somebody who was kind of on top of things at the beginning of the episode, right back into the ether at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
The ether, yeah. That's where Coach lives.
Yeah, it's hazy. It's always between 67 and 72 degrees.
It's comfortable.
Yeah. No sharp edges in Coach's ether.
Tookie, how white was this episode?
Oh, it was pretty white. It was, Hi, Oren. It was. I counted 2 black men, 2 black men, 1 beige woman. I can't necessarily say. I get it. I fall into the beige category where from afar you're like, what is that? And then you get up close and like, oh, she's black. So 1 beige woman, and I believe a brown skinned woman. So that's 4 within the bar, and then 5 makes the boxer on TV. So this was the bar will always be friends, Romans, and accountants, but with 9 whole black people.
We're coming in below that this week.
Yeah. So it was also, I mean, just for the record, this episode was like on the white nonsense scale, pretty high.
Yeah.
Why? Just because 2 white people were performing Othello for a room full of white people?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's another metric by which I measure sometimes. It's like, oh, this is what, how many black people how many people of color were in the background, but also how much white nonsense was ensuing.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know when the last white guy to perform Othello was, when people somehow thought this was acceptable. Oh, actually, I probably could tell you.
Okay.
Patrick Stewart.
Oh.
Played Othello in a reverse casting version of it, where he was white Othello and everyone else in the cast was black.
Oh, wow. They Hamiltoned Othello? Wow. Lin-Manuel is somewhere shaking. Oh, my God.
They did. And it was sometime at the earliest it could have been was late 90s. It was after he was, a star in Star Trek. I think they did it at the Kennedy Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it was that feeling of, all right, well, that's a lot of work for black actors, and I guess that's good, but
who called Eunice and told her this would be a great idea?
I don't know.
Which one of the Kennedys did they call?
I think it was Bobby.
Oh, no. All right. Bobby Jr.?
Yeah, no, the original. They just went to Arlington, and when they didn't get a response, they said, I guess this is okay.
Well,
no lightning.
Well, shit.
This does seem like the kind of thing Teddy thought would be cool.
Some days I'm afraid that I'm being haunted by either the ghost of Steve Jobs or Ted Kennedy. And I don't want to poke the bear right now, but Ted is on notice.
Oh, Ted, what a life. What a life did Teddy lead.
That reverse Othello that is the most 1998 idea I think I've ever. I lived through 1998, and now if I ever have to explain 1998 to my daughter, that's what I'm gonna explain.
That's fair. That's fair. The country was the country was reeling. We had just lost Tupac and Biggie, and now you're gonna tell me there's a reverse Othello? Okay, that's how we cope as a nation.
And there was. I felt like every couple of months there would be like another Wayans brother that I didn't know about that would come up. Like I was just like everything. I didn't have a solid footing on anything.
There's also something from the internet age. There was a famous farce called Lend Me a Tenor. Have you heard of it? Okay. It's a really, really well crafted, really funny farce that cannot be done anymore.
Oh,
because in it, there's an opera singer, and they are going to be doing a production of the opera Otello. And he is in blackface. And part of it is they think he died. And this young guy who's an aspiring singer has to go on for him. And because he's going to be in blackface and this big makeup and costume, that he can pass for him. And so they are in blackface the entire play, and people mistaking one for the other. And if you ever go, there is a meme, but it's not a meme. There's a collection. There was some website where it's this awful publicity photos for community theater productions of Lend Me a Tenor. And it's horrific. It's just awful picture after awful picture of people who really should have known better.
Oh, see, community theater, when painting over someone's skin, should not do anything past Shrek the musical.
No.
Just don't. No theater.
Boston theaters did that production in the 21st century. I know of productions. Dave and I went to one that was in the 90s.
Yep. Late 90s.
But-
That would have been 99 or 2000.
It
Yep.
hurts.
Yeah. Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to look up the publicity stills of Patrick Stewart's Othello, it's really something.
Then immediately clear your browser.
Yeah.
Immediately clear your browser history.
Yeah, you do not want to be, you don't want to die looking that up. That's a joke I had that never went quite as well as I thought it would.
Oh, you've got time to revamp it.
No, you know the joke I'm talking about, right? Joke. Our comedian friend Diana Liu, who's a great follower on Twitter, Discovery Duck. She tweeted one night. She said, "Hey, white people, if you want to help, here's something you could do. Search Twitter for slurs and report them. Let's clean up this website." And I was like, "Yes, that is great." And I'm doing it. I'm typing in slurs, and I thought, "Boy, would this be a bad time to die?"
Yes, I like that joke.
I liked it too, but it made everyone nervous.
Did it?
Because that's the thing. Like, if you find this dead next to a computer filled with slurs, you're not going to go, "Oh, I'm sure he's doing that for the right reason."
there's our white knight hacker
with the best intention.
I like that bit. I do. I'll defend that bit. I
All
thought
right,
it was,
if I ever do comedy again, I'll give it another shot.
but that's just me though.
I hear you.
It's self-aware. I'm self-aware.
All right. Sam creepy quotient. How creepy was Sam this week?
Okay,
Yeah.
not nearly as bad. Not nearly as bad as in some instances, but like, dude almost watched his girlfriend get murdered. So
That
thought-
last moment was really bad.
Oof.
That was a good episode with a terrible closing moment.
strong 12. Strong
Yeah.
on the creepy quotient.
Oh man, Sam, come on.
Strong 12.
That was structurally such a weird episode too, because there is like, it kind of ends with this like little mini play of like the peril of Diane Chambers,
Mhm.
and then like the decision to like try to get off on like a big laugh that undercuts what she had just been through I was like, oh, this is just wrong on every level. Like, to end the show that way was just such a bad choice, I thought.
Was a choice.
Yeah, you could feel that they were struggling for something to like go out onto the Big Bang, and that was not it.
I kept waiting for like the scene to cut and then like to see the next day, and the fact that was like the roll credits sequence.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, they needed like another 24 hours to fiddle with this one.
Twas a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. This one's in the books. Orange comment, which was so true. Tookie clearly has the best backdrop. Thank God we're not getting Room Raider watching our show, because man, Dave and I would maybe get a 3.
Oh, I'm in the low ones. I mean, this house was built in like 1920. It was not designed for podcasting or video vlogging, whatever, or really human comfort. So
that was the Gilded Age. Come on.
Yeah, this house is certainly gilded.
It's part of the Mansions tour come Christmas time.
This is
Oh.
it's just off the cliff walk. You take a left at the cliff walk and drive for about 45 minutes until you come to a Cumberland Farms, and then we're across the street.
I feel like I shouldn't know what the cliff walk is.
Do you know what the Cliff Walk is?
I don't, and I feel like I shouldn't.
It's The Mansions down in Newport, Rhode Island, like there's a walkway by them called Cliff Walk where you can just walk by down the cliffs. It's actually pandemic. It's a nice pandemic outing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a pretty walk. It's not bad.
Okay. It just sounds intense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds riskier than it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yep.
Cool.
It's a nice walkway by the water in the Mansions.
They should call it Mansion Stroll, would be a better kind of thing to call it, because that's really what it is.
A mansion stroll.
Truth.
A chateau promenade.
Yeah, and I'm always in the extra room in my house. Occasionally when I'm in the living room, I feel like I'm okay with Room Raider. Especially when we still had the pandemic tree up, and I feel like I framed it okay. Then it might have been okay on Room Raider. This is like, I'm at an awkward angle. I got a like partial bed in the back. No one knows what the painting is. It's not good.
I'm available to any viewers to like, once we're safer, come decorate.
Thank you.
Wait, hostages? Oh my God.
Yeah, it does look like if someone asked for ransom from where we were, like you'd be worried.
But yeah, my services are available to come like organize closets and decorate your home.
All right. We might take you up on it.
No doubt.
We're in the midst of destroying our bathroom, so my whole house is a disaster right now.
Oh,
So
you don't have a toilet? I'm sorry.
no,
Ooh.
we got another one, but we
Okay.
don't have like it's our master bath.
We don't say master bedroom anymore.
Oh, sorry. What is it called?
Primary bedroom.
Is that true?
Yes, or the owner's suite.
Owner's suite.
Yes, owner's suite or primary bedroom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's funny. I listen to something I enjoy are old episodes of Car Talk.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while, they talk about there's something in the car. There's the master cylinder and the slave cylinder.
Oh.
And it's so wildly uncomfortable whenever it comes up.
Whoa.
And they don't acknowledge it because like one of the brothers died 6 years ago. So these are all old episodes that are spliced together. And it's funny because, sometimes I'll be talking about, I've got an 83 Yugo and I'm trying to find a part, and they'll quote prices for repairs that make you go like, oh my God, what was this, the 20s? Yeah. By the way, I'm realizing now as I say the 20s that we are in the 20s.
We are.
Have you had that moment?
Not yet.
You're like, oh, we're in the 20s. We're living in the roaring 20s. That was 100 years ago. Ooh. The 20s that we are talking about.
Oof.
Right?
Ooh.
I know.
I feel attacked.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Where's my flying car?
You're picking it up as soon as the registry takes care of it, right?
That's another 2 weeks. We'll have this. We'll have the Chevy Bolt in the driveway.
Ooh!
Yay! All right, Tookie, we've got an MIT story and a bar show story that you promised us.
No MIT story, but the bar show story.
Bar show story.
MIT story. I mean, because I work there. People know I work there. To give you a sense of the kind of coworkers I had, again, this is no offense to present company, but there's like a reason why I stay out of white people's business, because I was seated between these two people, my two coworkers, who were like feuding at one point and decided to blast Mongolian throat singing videos at each other through the computer speakers while I was in the middle in the crosshairs. Wow. And it was not pretty. Have you ever heard of there is a Mongolian throat singing cover of Adele's Rolling in the Deep that I can never unhear for the rest of my life. Yeah. So imagine,
should we look it up or should we not look it up?
You should not.
Okay.
No disrespect to the singer, no disrespect to Adele, but it was work hours. And hearing that at about like 45 decibels in an open office space, like right between, it was a lot. Bar show story though. This is a fun one. I did a show out in Hull, Massachusetts.
Oh, I'm familiar with Hull. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. The way I describe it to people who aren't familiar with that side of Cape Cod is that it's in Cape Cod's arm, but it's in Cape Cod's scrotum. So like, someone from Hull is probably going to see this. I said what I said. So,
just geography, Hull, just deal with it. You live where you live.
Yeah.
Scrotum serves a purpose.
Yes. So, doing this show at a bar, and a couple of comics go up, and it's so far it's a bar show like you would expect, and you're like, the people who are there to be there are there, but the towny patrons in the back who are just trying to watch whatever is on TV are very much not there for it. Um, until a person who I shall not name, but who, Mike, you probably know, because he's a gentleman who is known for joking about the peanut butter, putting peanut butter on his balls so that the dog can lick it.
I wish that was just one comic.
I wish to. I wish to.
Like, that should narrow it down more than it does.
Woofa doofa doo.
Yeah.
I think I know who you're talking about, though. Yeah.
He's someone who deserves a stern talking to. So this person goes up, and it's so bad that the townies are now engaged, but in the most aggressive heckle you've ever heard in your life. It's like midway through one of this person's setup, a woman goes, "Shut the fuck up!" Like it was amazing. But
I've never been the recipient of a Hull heckle, but I imagine a Hull heckle has to be among one of the worst heckles you can get.
But the story continues. The saga continues because things start to get a little rowdy, and someone throws a napkin at another performer, and it was about to be bad. So the show gets like temporarily shut down, and then we all walk down the street to like a dive. And someone is trying to do their set with a ketchup bottle for a microphone. And yeah, choices are being made. And then this towny couple comes walking in, and we can't tell if it's this woman and her brother boyfriend. We don't know. So they walk in, and it's really, things get dicey because she slaps someone in the face. A performer who is not performing at the time because she just wants to be tough. And this guy is like 6'3" or something. So he stands and it's like, of course he's huge over her. And it was about to get weird. It was about to get really weird. And there at one point I was like, okay, like I step up to the girl and I'm like, hey, chill. But she's like, oh my God, I'm not fighting you. So peacemaker. Things start to get, loud, and the owners are like, hey, take it outside. And it's about to be one of those cartoon dust clouds of fighting. And of course, I'm on the sidelines. I'm like, if they call it off, I'm hopping in my raid and going. But it got so weird and messed up and bad that one of the guys in the opposing group of people who were fighting bottled his own friend in the head. Because Hull.
That probably did his friend a favor. Like, he's seen where that's gone, and he knows that a bottling is better.
I tell the story much better on stage, but like, you don't.
I enjoyed it here.
Hmm?
I enjoyed it here.
Thank you. But yeah, there are some bar shows where you do not want audience participation. Like, you just don't want that in your life.
None of them.
I grew up in a town that is probably in a lot of ways not dissimilar from Hull. Just not on the ocean so much, but in my town that would have counted for arts education. Would have been a street brawl outside of a stand-up show. So
okay, yeah.
I mean, that's a Fitchburg elective.
Yeah.
Ooh, I believe it. I believe it.
All right.
That's an after-school program.
Homicidal Ham is in the books. I felt like it was a nice return to form. I feel like we're back on track in season 2. I'm looking forward to next week. Sumner returns.
Oh no.
It's going to be fun.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a good one. War and Peace. I remember this one, and I remember enjoying it. So I'm hoping, I don't remember it as clearly as the Andy one. So I'm hoping I watch it and I enjoy it again. It's nice to have Sumner Sloan back in my life. All right. Anything to plug this week? Anybody?
Ooh.
Any shows? Anything?
Oh, Rehash Friday nights at 10:30.
Sure. Catch that.
It's
Catch
fun.
it.
You guys have been on it.
It's
We
a
have.
hoot, man.
It's a lot of fun. They're going to be doing the Jazz Singer very soon.
Oh no! Oh,
Neil Diamond version.
oof.
You
Even
gotta
at the time got savaged by the critics.
You gotta watch this movie. It was my parents' favorite movie for at least 10 years.
Oh, did the Rabbitohs love this version?
The Rabbitohs loved this version. The Rabbitohs showed my grandparents this movie.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh.
it had Neil Diamond. It had Laurence Olivier doing, what is in retrospect perhaps one of the most offensive Jewish caricatures that has ever happened upon the screen. And we listened to the soundtrack back and forth to Brooklyn to visit my grandmother to show her this film. I have seen this movie a lot.
Have your parents heard of a little film called Jutopia?
I don't believe so. No.
Oh boy, that's free on YouTube for a reason.
I'll have to walk my dad through YouTube. That'll be a fun afternoon.
All right, we'll be back next week, season 2, episode 5. I'm Mike. For Dave and Tookie, thank you for being here on Norm. We will see you next week. Stay safe, stay happy, everybody. Bye-bye.